Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy, the Anime Abu here, coming back at you with part 29 of What If Naruto Was Like Minato, otherwise known as Return of the Flash on Wattpad. And listen, just a few things I want to go over. First and foremost, Discord link in the description. I know that there were some issues with the link, that it was expiring. However, I changed that setting, so it won't expire now. So you can click the link in the description from now on, and it'll send you to the server. Next thing, we hit 400 subs, I believe, yesterday or the day before. So now we are on the road to 500 subs. So let's push towards that. I'll be posting a lot of videos, just trying to hit the goal. And we'll try to do something special. I'm writing a new series of my own with the people in the Discord server. So if you want to be included or you want to be incorporated into that process, then join the Discord server. I really do. I really do kind of, what is the word that I'm looking for? Advertise that? I don't know. I would really like you to do that though, so thank you. Lastly, like, comment, and subscribe. Also turn on post notifications. I respond to all comments, I heart all comments, and I like all comments. And I really appreciate it if you turn on post notifications. I post 1 to 2 times a day. I've been on the daily grind for a little bit now, and we've just been trying to push through and, you know, get these videos out. So yeah, I really appreciate it if you turn on post notifications as well. And if you leave a comment saying you turn on post notifications, I don't know, I might do something special, who knows. But yeah, so with all that out of the way, without further ado, Future Set, cue the intro. On the same evening, Council Chamber. Hiruzen eyed the Shinobi Council with a sharp and critical eye, as if assessing them. The Shinobi Council consisted of all Shinobi clan heads in Konoha, both major and minor. Some notable heads were Inazuka Sume, Nara Shikaku, Akamichi Choza, Yamanaka Inaichi, Hyuga Hiyashi, and Aburame Shibi. There were some empty seats as well as the Hatake, the Uzumaki, and the Namikaze. It was understandable why the Hatake seat was empty. Kakashi chose to remain a physically active shinobi rather than becoming a politician. The reason why the Uzumaki and the Namikaze seats were empty were too sad and depressing to delve into. But enough of that. He hadn't called this meeting to reminisce about the past, no. This meeting was called so we could discuss a report of who should be promoted. Now this may seem a bit of an inappropriate time for such a matter, but he felt that he should address this matter as soon as possible. It was time for him to choose a successor for him. But the problem was that successor was absent from the village and as such won't be able to make a logical decision as to who should be promoted. He started fingering the notepad before him absently. It contained what he wrote down about everyone he saw in the fight. And in the event that he was killed, it was his last and final decision as Hokage. He had written down his choice of promotion on the notepad along with the reason. He eyed the elders standing on the side. Hamura, Koharu, and Danzo were his old comrades, but after years of playing politics, they had become too jaded, too stuck in the old ways. Hamura and Koharu he could handle, but it was Danzo he was concerned about. His old friend might seem like an old man along with the other two, but Hiruzen was no fool. Even if he had no proof, he knew without a doubt that Danzo had been involved in multiple activities that he had no knowledge of, and there was no doubt that his old friend would protest against what he was about to do. But he would do it no matter what. Chozo was the first to open the meeting. Hokage-sama, may I inquire as to why this meeting has been called? Hiruzen nodded and said, this meeting has been called by me to discuss possible promotions for Chunin. That indeed grabbed the attention of the whole council. Even Shikaku sat up a bit straighter, and the elders looked at Hiruzen with interest. Shibi's face could not be seen because of his high collar, but he spoke just like his son. Excuse me for speaking this, Hokage-sama, but shouldn't we be concentrating more on our rebuilding efforts rather than promotions? Hiruzen nodded at him. I concede your point, Shibi-san, but there is another matter I need to address. One that is in conjunction with the promotions. You see, I am long past my prime, so I have to choose another successor again. The problem, however, is that the choice I have in mind is not present in the village for the moment. I fear that when they are chosen, they may not be able to make the logical choice for the promotions, as I am the one who took note of the fights. That seemed to satisfy Shibi as he nodded and leaned back in his chair a bit. Koharu spoke next, her voice laced with curiosity. And who do you have in mind, Hiruzen? Hiruzen flipped open his notepad. My first choice for promotion is Nara Shikamaru. This caused mutters to rise among the council. Shikaku was now fully awake upon hearing the Hokage was considering promoting his son to Chunin. His teammates gave him pats on the back with a smile, as a sign of congratulations, but Shikaku waved a hand for them to stop. He had a feeling that the Hokage had more to say. Hiruzen folded his hands under his chin. First of all, I have to say that your son has demonstrated excellent strategy against his opponent, Shikaku. He was very methodical and tactical in his approach, and he was able to keep his cool head in front of a seemingly superior opponent. Also, reports of the mission he has done with his team prior to the exam state his capability in leading a team. Shikaku narrowed his eyes. I sense a but coming, Hokage-sama. Hiruzen nodded. But even with his intellect of such caliber, he lacks some necessary qualities to become a Chunin. The foremost that I would like to address is that he seems to lack in motivation. The fact that he only fought because Naruto sent him into the arena shows his unwillingness to fight. If he lacks the will to be a Chunin, I feel he shouldn't receive the rank until he is ready. Hamura added his point. Well, what you are saying is true, Hokage-sama. Sometimes unwilling but potential candidates such as Shikamaru just need a push. However, the responsibility that comes from being a Chunin might improve his work ethic. Hiruzen thought about it a bit and said, That is true. I also point out that he needs to pull his physical skills up to par in case he finds himself against an opponent that he cannot outthink. Only having intellect without having the necessary means to use it is meaningless. However, I put my faith in him that he will strive to improve in order to match his responsibility that come with the position. Now, I would like to hear the council's opinion. Those who feel that Nara Shikamaru should be promoted, raise your hand. Almost all the clan heads raised their head. Both the elders also raised their hands. But Hiruzen was not surprised to see Danzo not in favor of the Nara's promotion. Hiruzen nodded and noted it down. Then it is decided. Nara Shikamaru will be promoted to Chunin. Moving on to the next choice, Uzumaki Naruto. He carefully gauged the faces of everyone in the room. Shinobi clan heads' eyes had widened in surprise, but he was pleased to note that there wasn't any hate or negative feelings he was used to seeing whenever Naruto's name was mentioned. The elders, on the other hand, were simply gaping at him, with the exception of Danzo, who had not reacted at all. Before they could speak, my next choice for promotion is Uzumaki Naruto, but that is not all. I have, after careful thought, consideration, I am nominating Uzumaki Naruto for the position of Jonin. Hiruzen was not surprised at all when gasps of shock and disbelief sounded in the room. In fact, he was willing to bet that if the civilian council had remained, they would have been shouting already. He raised his hand to stop the mutters, lowering it only when the silence had returned. Koharu was the first to speak. Hokage-sama, you cannot be serious, surely. It was as if she didn't want to believe that the demon container was to even be considered for such a position. Hiruzen glared at her. I'm not in the mood for your jokes, Koharu. Turning to the council, he spoke. Before you all start to speak, let me enlighten you as to what happened on the day of the invasion. He first started by telling them how he fought Neji. He highlighted Naruto's use of taijutsu against the prodigy of the Hyuga. He pointed it out that Naruto had successfully kept Neji on his toes, even landing damaging hits. Hiyashi didn't react, for he had already seen this, but the minuscule twitch under his left eye betrayed his irritation of him being reminded of the Hyuga's clan's defeat by the Namikaze heir. He carefully and orally replayed the fight, saying that Naruto capitalized on Neji's weakness of not being able to see his chakra network, or of a lack of it. His in-battle intellect was made profoundly clear when Naruto managed to penetrate the supposedly ultimate defense of the Hyuga. Hiruzen also pointed out Naruto's clever use of misdirection as he deceived Neji into attacking a clone, and then getting attacked and ultimately incapacitated. Naruto then spoke on Naruto's fight with Gaara. By the day of the finals, everyone knew of Gaara's control over his sand. Hiruzen spoke about how Naruto manipulated Gaara into a position that favored him. His choice of engaging in a long-distance combat with sound managed to eliminate Gaara's strengths, and he had nearly defeated Gaara if the invasion had not taken place. Shikaku used a question with a raised eyebrow. I understand that it's quite a feat for Naruto to defeat a Jinchuriki without resorting to his own Biju, Kage-sama. It certainly does speak of Naruto's natural power and talent on the field. He is certainly more powerful than any Chunin that we have, even most of the Jonin. But I still don't see, however, how he can qualify for Jonin. Hiruzen smirked and then proceeded to tell them what exactly happened during Naruto's fight with Gaara and Orochimaru. After a very lengthy account of Naruto's victories, Hiruzen sat back with a barely noticeable smirk and watched the conversation unfold. Inoichi was the first one to break the silence. To think, he beat Neji and nearly beat Gaara 2 times before finally defeating him. That too with Gaara at full strength with the help of a boss summon of foxes, of all beings that is the size of Gamabunta. Then he helped out Hokage-sama by successfully turning the tables against Orochimaru. There was a long silence before Chozo broke it. I don't know anyone who can accomplish even half of those things. Danzo unsurprisingly asked a question that put Naruto in a suspicious light. And where did he get the summoning contracts for foxes? He should have informed us of such a development. Hiruzen didn't even need to intervene as Hamura spoke next as if in a frenzy. Perhaps the QB was responsible for this. However, it raises a glaring concern as to how he did become so powerful to achieve such feats. Could be that of the work of the QB as well? Shibi was the one to counter the argument. I don't see why you're so worried, Elder Hamura. I distinctly remember meeting a long time ago in which you had agreed to the suggestion of Danzo training Uzumaki-san. Being a formidable shinobi of his time, Uzumaki-san would have become powerful either way. Is there something that we aren't aware of? Though his tone was as polite as ever, everyone managed to grasp the meaning behind it. Shikaku was the most intelligent of all of them, already knew why Hamura was panicking as such. They were only acting like this because the greatest weapon in the village was not under their control. Koharu asked the next question. Hokage-sama, were you made aware of all this information? Hiruzen just answered, already knowing what she was about to say in reply. Uzumaki Naruto told me himself. In unison, both the elders frowned heavily. Then it is possible that he could have lied about this, Hokage-sama. That was as far as she got before Hiruzen's icy glare stopped her cold. Remember who you are talking to, Koharu. In spite of your bias against Naruto, don't forget that you haven't spoken a word to him all of these years, let alone gotten to know him. You have no right to judge him like that. I have looked after that boy for all his years now, and all I know is what kind of person he is. He never had any reason to lie to me at all. Hamura asked hurriedly. Then you are aware how he became as strong as he is now? Hiruzen glared at Koharu. Yes, I was aware that is all you need to know about that, but we are straying further from the point. Shikaku, I would like to hear what you have to say about this. Shikaku clasped his hands together and said, well, Hokage-sama, from what you said, I can conclude this. Naruto is an extremely powerful shinobi for his age. Capacity even surpasses that of the Hokage. Where is it? Sorry, there's been a lot of mistakes. Surpasses even yours. His skills in the shinobi arts are formidable as well. His taijutsu is strong enough to best a Hyuga prodigy in combat. His ninjutsu repertoire covers over 4 elemental transformations with high-level techniques, which is more than anything our best Jonin can say. From what you have said, Hokage-sama, his fleeing jutsu is easily very advanced. If he was able to master the Hiraishi no Jutsu and think up a counter for the Edo Tensei Jutsu by the use of a contract seal, it shows how high his battle intellect is. If he was able to come up with the best way to beat Orochimaru. Improvisation during the battle is one of the most crucial things that a Jonin can have, and he has a summon that can possibly rival Jiraiya-sama. He sat in silence for a while, obviously thinking over the facts. After a few minutes, he turned over to Inoichi. Inoichi, how well do you think he can handle pressure? His friend folded his arms. From what I have heard, very impressively. Not only has he defeated Gato without panicking or losing his head, he was able to come up with a strategy to Edo Tensei in the middle of a fight of Orochimaru. Plus, your question really is quite irrelevant, Shikaku. Naruto has been under tremendous stress from the villagers for years. He hasn't broken even once. In fact, he was able to shape himself into such a shinobi under such stress as proof of his mental strength. Shikaku closed his eyes and sighed, but before he could think further upon this, Koharu exclaimed hysterically, "But the Jinchuriki is still too young." She then immediately shut up when a dose of potent killing intent hit her. He has a name, Koharu, and you do well to remember it. Or have you forgotten just whose protege he is? Koharu shrank under her teammate's gaze until she reluctantly conceded. Hi, Hokage-sama. Hamura took up where she left off. Hokage-sama, Naruto is still too young, and we don't know if he can be fully trusted or not. Hiyashi bluntly crushed his argument. Uchiha Itachi was an Anbu captain at his age. Hatake Kakashi also became a Jonin at Naruto's age. Becoming a Chunin at 6 years old, the Yondaime was a year older than Naruto when he became a Jonin. Your argument has no strength, Elder. Turning to the Hokage, he said, I, for one, am in favor of your motion, Hokage-sama. I have faith that Naruto will be able to deliver quite well as a gentleman. That started off a chain of reactions that resulted in every clan head agreeing. The others were mollified, and they vehemently protested against this. But in the end, they were just that, advisors to the Hokage. Danzo did not show any outward reaction, but on the inside, he was calculating. The Jinchuriki of the village should be powerful. Even though ours is, I'm doubtful of his loyalty. With such power, he would be difficult to control. Hiruzen looked over to Shikaku. What about you, Shikaku? What is your decision in the capacity as the Jonin commander? Shikaku placed his hands on the table. Well, Thursday. The day had begun quite interestingly. For one, Naruto had a very good night's sleep. He had dreams of Temari and him bathing in the hot springs. And this time, they really did kiss. The kiss turned out to be so hot that when Naruto had woken up, his sheets were... Whoa! Whoa! What? He had a dream. I don't know if y'all old enough, but he had a... You feel me? He had a dream. God damn. Okay, sorry. Oh man, this feels so messy and weird. He groaned as he got up from the bed. Kurama was full out laughing in his mind. You had a wet dream about the sand vixen. Oh, I wonder what you saw. Naruto groaned. Kurama, I don't understand how you can be a pervert. This is Jiraiya's job. And why do you keep calling her a vixen? Who are you kidding? You have strong feelings for her. Feelings you know you won't have for any other female. Naruto sighed. Am I to assume that vixen is your way of calling her my lifelong partner? Which won't be happening, like, ever. That is exactly what I'm saying, and I don't know about ever. Naruto sighed, and when he was about to take his sheets off to clean, his eyes went wide. What the hell? Almost the entire sheet is wet. Safe to say, it was an eventful morning. Damn. Yeah, okay. After he got dressed and met up with his team, he found out that he was cleaning out a whole building today. As usual, he went to work without any complaints. However, he only did it himself for about 2 hours before he said screw it, and produced over 80 shadow clones. He turned to his team and said with a straight face, you guys are way too slow. Kakashi, Sakura, and Sasuke, along with the other shinobi and civilian workers in the area, only watched dumbfounded as a horde of blonde shinobi went to work. Naruto looked proudly at his clone for a moment before turning to his team with a quizzical look. What are you looking at? Sakura came up to him with disbelief and a bit of rage. You couldn't have done that earlier? Naruto pretended to think about it for a moment and then said, no, I needed to do my 2 hours of physical training before that. Plus, you really shouldn't rely on my shadow clone, Sakura. You could do with a bit of physical training too. Sakura could only gasp at Naruto as he joined his clones in the building. Kakashi blinked before turning to Sasuke. He's a bit different today, isn't he? Kind of on the chirpy side. Sasuke just gave him the customary Uchiha grunt and returned to working. Yesterday's talk really made him think about what he was doing. Naruto said that true strength comes only when you have someone precious to fight and protect for. Gaara had claimed during his fight that pain and loneliness and hatred led to more power, and it was hard to prove him wrong, for Sasuke shared the pain with him. But the day before, Naruto told him that protecting people or anyone you held close to you gave you a kind of strength like no other. He had never doubted that Naruto was incredibly strong, but fighting a tailed beast not only at full power but also beating it to the ground. Now that was crazy. When Gaara lay defeated, so did his philosophy. Sasuke had clearly seen the defeat in the redhead's eyes. In the end, both Naruto and Gaara were insanely powerful. The difference was, Naruto was happy with his life, while Gaara was filled with nothing but hatred and insanity. Up until now, Sasuke had been following Itachi's path. He'd shunned everyone away. He resented any kind of bond that formed. But now that he thought about it, was he really growing stronger, or was he stunting his growth? The answers had deluded Sasuke all night, resulting in a restless sleep. There was so much weight on his mind that he was at a loss to if the answer he would arrive at would be really right or not. Naruto, well, more like his clones, had cleared almost half the rubble by noon, after which they decided to take a rest. Whew, man, that was a good workout, one of them said while grinning. Another one on the floor said, lying in spread eagle position, he groaned and said, "You're unbearable." Another one watched the interaction with slight amusement. You realize that you're essentially talking to yourself, right? Before the conversation could continue, they all vanished in puffs of smoke. Naruto dropped into half-ram seal with a sigh. I'm starting to think I'm mentally unstable. I'm calling myself unbearable. Naruto turned to see his team and Kakashi waving at him. We have to go to the Hokage office. Naruto frowned. Why? The cleanup isn't done yet, so why would he be calling the teams over now? Kakashi shook his head and gave an eye smile. No, not the teams, just you and me. Naruto slapped his hands to get rid of the dust. He shrugged. Alright, let's go then. Naruto grabbed hold of Kakashi and flashed right outside the Hokage's office. The secretary jumped and shrieked in surprise while Naruto and Kakashi gave her bored glances. Oh, Kakashi had revived his habit of getting used to the random flashes of light. He said in a bored tone, the Hokage called for us. The receptionist nodded shakily and went to alert the leader. The sound of footsteps saw them turning around to face Asuma and Shikamaru coming towards them. As usual, the shadow user was slouched, muttering something under his breath. Naruto smirked and leaned against the receptionist table. Oh, what's the matter, Shika? You seem a bit grouchy today. Shikamaru glared at him like the devil. Don't play dumb, jackass. You know exactly what this is for. Naruto walked over to him and slung his arm around his shoulder. Aw, what's up with you? How can you not be happy with a promotion? I'm surprised you're getting promoted in the first place, considering that you forfeited your match. While the Genin were chatting, Asuma walked up to Kakashi, who had pulled out his book. Yo, Kakashi, so Naruto's getting promoted as well. Looks like it, Asuma, came the bored reply. Asuma frowned at him and said, You know, you should be proud of your Genin, who's getting promoted on the first try. Kakashi sighed and closed his book. I would be Asuma, but I can only be proud when I've trained him in the first place. Asuma frowned to confusion and was about to say something when the secretary came back out. Kakashi-san? Asuma-san? When both the Jonin nodded, she said, Hokage-sama will see you now. Hiruzen stared impassively as the summoned shinobi walked into his office. Kakashi and Asuma went to stand aside while Naruto and Shikamaru stood right in front of the Hokage's desk. Naruto smirked as he gazed at his Gigi. The man looked positively tired, not of the invasion, but of the pile of paperwork that was high enough that he was about to topple over on his desk. Hiruzen looked at both of the Genin, doing a mental assessment of them, as was his habit before beginning any meeting. If both of them were excited, they would be doing a very good job of hiding their anticipation. Shikamaru was, as usual, looking like the epitome of the Nara clan. Shoulders slumped, hands in the pocket, and an expression that said, please don't bother me or I might just die. Naruto, on the other hand, he looked a bit different from what he usually looked like. Naruto always maintained a cool and aloof expression, an indifferent, bored air around him that was reflected in the way he was speaking. However, today he looked slightly upbeat, more so than usual. His posture was a bit straighter, and he looked ready for any sort of action that might come his way. Also, he didn't like the way he was smirking at his losing battle with paperwork. Nara Shikamaru! He barked in a shocked voice, and was pleased to see him stand up a bit straighter. Cracked a smile and said, Congratulations! Your exemplary performance in the Chunin exams, as well as the commendable actions on your part with your other Genin colleagues and senseis during the invasion, have earned you the promotion of Chunin. Here's your standard Chunin vest, wear it with pride. He got up from his chair and took the vest from beneath the desk. Walking around the table, he handed it to the now promoted Chunin, who looked at it speculatively and muttered troublesome. But Hiruzen could see the small smile on his face and the smallest amount of smugness in his eyes. The boy was proud to be a Chunin. I have faith that you will handle your responsibilities efficiently and strive to become better for the sake of your subordinates. Shikamaru finally zipped up the front and bowed a little. Hi, Hokage-sama. Naruto narrowed his eyes at the aged Hokage. What is he playing at? Kakashi and Asuma were perplexed as well. It was procedure that when more than one Chunin qualified from their village, they are promoted at the same time, not individually. As both Naruto and Shikamaru were going to get promoted, they would have been promoted at the same time. As such, only Shikamaru got promoted to Chunin. If Naruto wasn't getting the promotion, then why was he here? Their question was answered a moment later. Uzumaki Naruto. Hiruzen intoned, causing Naruto to raise his head a bit. For your outstanding performance in the Chunin exams, having a major hand in the failing of the invasion and defeating the Sans Jinchuriki, as well as foiling Orochimaru's plans by countering his techniques and thus saving your village, I hereby grant you the promotion of Jonin. There was a pin-drop silence in the office. Asuma's jaw had dropped open and his cigarette had fallen on the ground. Shikamaru was also looking at the Hokage in shock, as Kakashi's single visible eye had widened so much that it looked as if it were about to fall out. Granted, Naruto played a huge role in stopping not only the Sans invasion but Orochimaru as well. Hell, Kakashi would have been hard-pressed to beat the Sans Jinchuriki, and Orochimaru was totally out of his league, even with his Sharingan. He was certain that there was no way Naruto won't be promoted to Chunin, but skipping it and directly becoming a Jonin, there was a lot of responsibility for someone of his age. Hokage-sama, are you sure that Naruto is ready for that burden that comes with the position? Asuma's voice snapped Kakashi out of his thoughts. He looked over to Naruto, who had raised an eyebrow in surprise. Poor kid must have been totally caught unawares. He mused, but as he thought about it, Naruto was more than qualified for the position. All that time he spent with Naruto as a team, Naruto had shown all the qualities of a formidable ninja, both in mind and body. Not to mention he was the leader in the making. He's better than I was at his age, he thought. During his time with Minato Sensei, he had thought that he was more than ready to be a Jonin and a leader. Oh, how wrong he had been. He had been a total douchebag in those days. Hiruzen gave a nod and turned to Naruto. Naruto, do you think you're ready? Naruto snapped out of his shock, carefully thinking over the answer. I always believed that I would become a Jonin one day, Hokage-sama. I never expected the day to arrive this early, though. However, if there's one thing that I have learned about in life, it is that a knack of catching you off guard. All you can do is be prepared at all times. Prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Did y'all hear my dog? He just made a weird, loud, kind of noise. It sounded like a cat for a second. Whatever. Hiruzen gave a nod in agreement. So what is your answer? Naruto took a deep breath and relaxed. I'll do my best, Hokage-sama. Boom! So that's where I'm going to end this part off. Sorry for all the mistakes and the mental errors. You're probably not going to see them. I'm going to edit them out. But there were a lot. I've had to record this 3 times. I had to make several cuts. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. I hope it goes kind of smoothly. You guys will be able to tell. But, yeah, so without further ado, we'll hit the outro. So, first and foremost, Discord server, link in the description. We're on the road to 500 subs, so please like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications. I respond to all comments. I heart all comments. I like all comments. I really do appreciate it. And this is your boy, the Anime Albu. I am out. Deuces.